I did this show for Green Papaya, I think over a year ago, and it was called Domestic Bliss. And it's more like, you know, it's kind of, it's personal, but I think it's visually exciting. I'd like to think so. I worked on it for over 2 years while we were constructing the house, and it's just chronicling what I've been going through the last, parang parallel siya dun sa nangyayari sa buhay ko. My big move to New York, to here, and dealing with calling this my home again, and dealing with aging parents. Not just thinking about myself, but thinking about, you know, the people around me. It's bittersweet because, you know, I don't know, a lot of people were asking me, why are you moving back to Manila? You're already in New York, we want to go somewhere else, you know, why are you moving back here? And, you know, many things. I've been lucky enough to live in New York for 20-something years. In my early 20s, I'm a little tired. I pretty much do what I do here. I work part-time in New York. I go home and I just want to focus on art. And really, it's sort of difficult to focus on art in New York, for me personally, because it's a little distracting. There's so many things going on. The things that I was thinking of doing, I couldn't do in New York. You know, I was spending more and more time at home in my studio painting, but I can pretty much do that here and be with my parents. So it sort of made sense to me to just kind of move here gradually, spend more time with my parents, and still make art that I can never do anymore. For Domestic Bliss, I used a lot of faucets. I did sketches in my early 30s or maybe my late 20s when I was working full-time. And I had this sketchbook because I couldn't really make art because I didn't have time. And I would just like write ideas and do sketches, and I said someday I will do these pieces. And I'm very keen on remembering the series of faucets that I did, and I forgot about it. And then when I moved back here at my parents' house, every few weeks I would always change a faucet. There was always something leaking, and after a few months I had this, I don't know, container full of useless faucets. So sabi ko, it's just calling me, and I remembered what I drew, like, you know, over a decade ago. So I did a series of faucets. Also, it's echoing what was happening in my life. Everything was sort of falling apart. So yung faucet, parang ano yun, parang it's just, my wish is, you know, I wish you could just turn things on and off, and, you know, everything was not working. So I did pieces of used faucets, and I had like funky titles like, you know, At That Moment I Meant It. You know, talking about relationships and using industrial, you know, stuff that's so not sentimental. You know, so ganon. We had to cut down trees, which really broke my heart, and I struggled with it for years, until I really had to cut down a few trees because it was tearing down the front wall, and I couldn't throw away the trees. So what I did was to actually make a new tree from the old trees. So parang Frankenstein, like I had this big trunk of tree, and then another tree, and I sort of pieced them back together using lumber, mostly the existing trees and deformed bars. And I measured the space of green papaya and actually put the tree in the middle of the space. And you know, it was called, it's in 3 parts. It's called How to Build a House. And then the first part is how to make a tree, how to build a house. The other one is deformed bars stuck upside down. which you use for posts for a house, and it had roots entwined, floating from the ceiling. Tapos yung title niya, Uproot. So it's a little corny, but it's just playing with like stuff. And the last piece was a deformed bar for a post, and I packed it with letters of my mom, who used to write me every week for 20 years. So I had boxes and boxes of her letters that I couldn't throw away. So, you know, it's just, you know, a journal, diary. I did a series of sculptures called Madre, and Madre is a architectural detail that holds their stairway stringers. They're the two pieces of wood that holds the steps together, which is sort of symbolic because, you know, I'm kind of sentimental. So I'm thinking, oh, ang galing, Madre. My feminist background is saying, you know, wow, a woman holds the pieces together so you can go to where you're, you know, you want to go. Parang galing, and it's a vernacular terminology. So I did a series of that. I bought a lot of madres that usually, you know, were used as firewood. And I love the shape. It's a classical shape, sort of like Brancusi totem poles. Not that, you know, it was a conscious decision to copy. I don't think it was, you know, I just love the shape. I had a greater appreciation for architecture. I love architecture. And I just like the idea of using architectural parts as part of my pieces, mostly found objects, found pieces. And usually what I do is I don't really change much or accessorize much, because I want to focus on the actual shapes and objects and sort of just kind of give it a twist. So, you know, it's just saying, tingnan nyo, parang ito sa hagdanan, I put it up and I do a little, you know, twist and turn, and it's something new. So, you know, that to me is exciting.